Hello, my name is Arjun with SciKits, and today I'll be talking about the polarity of water. So, one of the properties of water that makes it so unique is its polar nature. When you look at the structure of water, it's very simple. It's one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms in this sort of bent structure. So, these oxygen and hydrogen atoms are bound by something called a covalent bond. A covalent bond just means that the electrons are shared between the atoms, and the molecule is polar, which means that the charge is unevenly distributed. Oxygen is the larger atom, which means that it pulls on the electrons a bit harder, which results in the oxygen's negative charge, while the hydrogen is positively charged. So another example of a polar liquid is rubbing alcohol. So when we mix water and rubbing alcohol, two polar liquids, as you can see, it just completely mixes. So this is because both of them are polar. But an example of a non-polar liquid is oil. So, as you can see, when we mix the oil with the water, the oil stays on top and does not mix in with the water. This is because while the water is polar, the oil is nonpolar. So now, before we do this experiment to better understand the concept of polarity, let's learn two important terms. One is density. When we add oil and water in a cup, you'll notice that the oil stays up while the water sinks down. This is because oil is less dense than water, and you can see a clear discommunication between the oil and the water. So the next concept is solubility. When we add a few drops of water-based food color to the mix, you'll notice that the food color does not interact with the oil, but it rather dissolves in the water. So remember, the food color that we used here is water-based, which is the reason that it dissolves in water.
So for this experiment, first we'll need one jar of about this size, about a cup of oil, about a cup of water, then some food coloring, and an Alka-Seltzer tablet or any effervescent tablet. So first we'll open the jar and then add the cup of oil. So we just add the full thing. And then we'll add the water. And so as you can see, even though the oil was poured first, it'll stay on top of the water as water is denser than oil. And so now we'll add a few drops of this water-based food coloring. So I use blue, but you can use any color that you'd like. And so now we'll just let this settle. So now that this has settled for a bit, we'll open the Alka-Seltzer tablets. And so once we've opened it, we'll add it, and as you can see, this gives the impression of a lava lamp. So the spherical drops of water rise up, and it does not mix with the oil. So then we can just close the jar and let it sit. And so now that we've just let it sit and kind of do its thing for a bit, we can put in another Alka-Seltzer tablet. And it should have a similar effect. Alright, and then we can just drop it in and then close it.
Now that we've created a lava lamp, let's examine the science behind this. As you have seen, we've used two types of liquids in the lava lamp, and they do not dissolve with each other or mix with each other because water is polar while oil is nonpolar, and there's a clear separation between the liquids. When we add the Alka-Seltzer tablet into the jar, it reacts with the water. The chemical reaction between the Alka-Seltzer and water releases a gas, which is carbon dioxide, in the form of bubbles. When the gas is released, it will trap a bit of water from the bottom of the jar. This gas and water together is less dense than water and oil, and so it'll flow up to the top of the oil. Once the bubbles get to the top, they burst, releasing the water. Since this water is more dense than the oil, it'll sink back down. This process will keep continuing until the reaction is complete and the Alka-Seltzer has released all of the carbon dioxide. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this experiment.